Riverside County District Attorney Mike Hestrin announced this week that he is joining the top prosecutors in more than 40 other counties in a lawsuit to stop the potential release of 76,000 prisoners under a state program. They're seeking a temporary injunction to prevent any possible early release of inmates. I spoke today with Hestrin to find out more about his concerns. Mike, tell us about this lawsuit to stop the potential release of nearly 80,000 prisoners.
So this lawsuit, myself and 44 other elected DAs filed this lawsuit against the state, CDCR, which is the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, to stop them from implementing administrative rules where they increase the number of credits that prisoners get. So everybody who goes into an institution in California gets credit, meaning that if they're sentenced to 4 years, they're typically going to get credit up to 50% credit. So they're really only going to do, if on a 4-year sentence, they're going to possibly do 2 years. So what the state has been doing is, because of the governor's emergency orders due to COVID, they've used those orders to change the rules without following the proper legal procedure. So we're challenging the state, saying that the new rules that they've implemented are illegal and they have to go through the normal administrative procedure.
What types of prisoners are we talking about, and how concerning is this for you, and how concerned should residents be about this?
Well, I think it's very concerning. I think the public safety is at risk from this. It's across the board prisoners. So we're talking murderers, rapists, people that are committing crimes with guns in our community. They're getting big increases in their credit. So they have the potential of coming out, and it applies to life prisoners and people that are in there for a set amount of time. So everybody who's in there, we call it indeterminate. If someone's in prison for a life sentence, they can't get released until they convince a parole board. But what's happening in those cases, so if someone's in there for murder, typically the penalty for murder in California is 25 to life. That's a life sentence, but what's happening is they use those credits to determine when they're going to get parole hearings. So if they're giving these murderers in prison extra credits, then they're going to get parole hearings much quicker. And so, people are not everyone's automatically getting out, but it's going to result in releases. And that's what the state is trying to do. They're trying to empty the prisons, essentially.
Do you have any idea how many of those prisoners would be released in Riverside County?
No, but obviously Riverside County is the 4th largest county in the state of California. We have a huge population base. If we were a county anywhere else in the country, we would be a major metropolitan area. The fact that we're sort of dwarfed by Los Angeles, but I think that you can bet that there's going to be quite a few inmates being released from Riverside County. I've also sent a CPRA to the state asking them for a list of Riverside County inmates that have already been released. And I want to know who they're releasing, and I intend to tell the public. Public has a right to know this.
What would you say, Mike, to critics who say, it's important that we incentivize good behavior among our prisoners, otherwise they won't want to be behaving as they should, perhaps, in prison, and that this is unfair to them?
Well, I would say 2 things. First of all, in California, in order to get their credits, they don't have to do anything. Prisoners don't have to get a GED. They don't have to participate in any rehabilitation programs. They don't have to do anything except not commit new crimes. So that's about as lowest standard as you could ever have. And I say, absolutely, I agree, we should incentivize people that are in prison. But guess what? They are in prison for a reason, because they committed a serious crime. They committed a serious crime for a reason. So we should be getting to the bottom of that. So if we ever instituted a real rehabilitation program where we had prisoners that were required, for example, to get a GED or attend anger management or attend Narcotics Anonymous before they were going to get any credits, I would be in favor of that. But as it stands right now, this is a giveaway. The state's giving away credits for nothing, simply to reduce the prison sentence of some of the most violent people in our state. And if anyone thinks that that's not going to result in new victims in this county, they're they're deluding themselves. I have a real problem with that.
Are you hopeful that this lawsuit will make a difference, and what are the next steps?
I am hopeful. I think we're on solid ground to at least push back and potentially win this one narrow point. I don't think it necessarily is going to change what the state wants to do. That's a larger political fight, but this is just the first step, I think, in a longer battle. I think what the public needs to know is the state is intent on reducing the consequences and reducing the incarcerated population. And that's a good thing we should want to reduce the incarcerated population. But the way you do that is by reducing crime. The way you do that is by making sure that the crime rate comes down instead of just reducing the consequences.
All right, Mike, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.